If you walk into your kitchen right now and open the pantry, you're likely to find a box of cornflakes. It is perhaps the most unremarkable object in modern civilization. It's the baseline of breakfast. Crunchy, slightly toasted, and famously, aggressively bland. We consume it by the metric ton, usually while scrolling through our phones or rushing to work. We rarely pause to ask why it exists in this specific form. We assume it was created for convenience, or shelf life, or because some engineer found a way to make corn cheap. But the origin of the cornflake has almost nothing to do with culinary preference. It was not designed to be tasty. In fact, it was designed specifically to be the opposite. The cornflake was a weapon. It was an edible intervention in a war against the human body. In the late 1800s, a physician named Dr. John Harvey Kellogg was running the Battle Creek Sanitarium in Michigan. It was part hospital, part spa, and part high-intensity moral re-education camp. Kellogg was a man of intense convictions. He believed the American population was rotting from the inside out. To him, the culprit wasn't just bacteria, it was stimulation. Kellogg believed that flavorful food, spices, and meat were heating the blood and exciting the nervous system. In the Victorian medical imagination, the path from a spicy sausage to moral collapse was a straight line. To save the soul, Kellogg decided he had to neutralize the tongue. He needed a food so bland that it would physically suppress the libido of his patients. The cornflake was a biological sedative. When you pour that milk today, you're participating in a century-old experiment in behavioral modification. You're eating the remnants of a moral panic, baked and packaged to keep you pure. But here's the unsettling part. Kellogg wasn't an outlier. He was part of a massive movement that decided the best way to fix society was to re-engineer what society ate. Take the graham cracker. Today, it's a sugary vehicle for marshmallows around a campfire. But in the 1830s, Sylvester Graham, a Presbyterian minister, saw it as a tool for social revolution. He believed the Industrial Revolution was making people soft and hyper-stimulated. He hated white bread, seeing it as a sign of aristocratic decadence. Graham's solution was a diet of coarse, unsifted wheat flour. He believed that by eating this dense, fibrous grain, people would regain their moral restraint. Like Kellogg, Graham was terrified of the human appetite. He preached that a bland diet could cure everything from alcoholism to clerical throat. At one point, Grahamism was so popular that people lived in boarding houses under a strict regime of cold baths and hard mattresses. The graham cracker wasn't a snack. It was a manifesto. It was the physical embodiment of the idea that you could grind away your darker impulses with sandpaper-textured wheat. We see this pattern again with yogurt. Before it was a multi-billion-dollar industry, yogurt was a niche longevity treatment. The Nobel Prize-winning biologist Elie Metchnikoff became obsessed with the idea that bacteria in our intestines were poisoning us, leading to moral decay. He didn't just see yogurt as a healthy snack, he saw it as a biological cleansing agent. He believed that by cleaning the human gut, we could create a more rational and temperate society. In every aisle of your supermarket, there are ghosts like these. Men who believed that the human condition was just a digestive problem. To understand why these ideas took hold, we have to look at the world these men lived in. The 19th century was a period of terrifying change. People were moving from farms to soot-covered cities. Factories were replacing manual craft. In this chaos, a new kind of secular religion emerged: moral physiology. The reformers of this era believed the laws of health were the same as the laws of God. If you were sick, it wasn't just bad luck, it was a transgression. This created a massive market for what we now call health food. But back then, it was essentially virtue food. The logic was simple: a clean body led to a clean mind. Digestion was not seen as a biological process, but as a moral one. This is why they were so obsessed with blandness. Blandness was safety. It was a shield against the temptations of the modern world. The goal was to create a new kind of human, the sanitary citizen. And the primary tool used to forge this citizen was the daily meal. Nowhere is this war more visible than in the evolution of the most famous drink in history, Coca-Cola. Its origins are rooted in the same medical fix culture as Kellogg's cereal. John Pemberton, the inventor, was a morphine-addicted veteran of the Civil War. He was looking for a brain tonic to soothe the shattered nerves of a generation traumatized by war. It was marketed as a medicinal syrup, but more importantly, it was sold as a temperance drink. In the late 1800s, alcohol was seen as the great destroyer of the working class. Reformers wanted a substitute, something that provided the lift of a bar without the moral ruin of the saloon. Coca-Cola was clean stimulation. But consider the irony. To save people from the sin of alcohol, they gave them a chemical cocktail of cocaine and caffeine. We see the same logic in peanut butter. Dr. Kellogg promoted it as a surgical food. It was a way to get protein without the aggression and animalism associated with eating meat. Every one of these products was an attempt to hack the human body. So, if these ideas were so bizarre, why do we still have the products? Why did the cornflake survive when the anti-sin crusade that birthed it is a forgotten footnote? The answer lies in a strange alignment between Victorian morality and industrial efficiency. The reformers were accidentally building the perfect food for the 20th century. While they were trying to save souls, they were creating products that were incredibly shelf-stable, easy to transport, and remarkably cheap to produce. A box of cereal doesn't rot like a piece of meat. A cracker doesn't require a chef. It requires a machine. The blandness that Kellogg saw as a moral virtue, the food industry saw as a blank canvas. By the 1920s, the religious fervor began to fade. It was replaced by the new language of nutrition science. The moral benefits of whole grains were rebranded as fiber. The temperance of soda became refreshment. We stopped eating these things to save our souls, but we kept eating them because the factories were already built. This transition, from medicine to meal, is the most successful rebranding in history. It happened so slowly that we didn't notice the health food of the fanatics was becoming the normal food of the masses. Think about the way we talk about wellness today. We use words like clean eating, detox, and guilt-free. This isn't the language of biology. It's the language of Kellogg and Graham. We have inherited their belief that food is a way to fix ourselves. When you see a granola bar marketed as honest, you're seeing the direct descendant of the graham cracker's moral authority. We still believe that by choosing the right grain, we are making ourselves better people. Big food wasn't just built by capitalists. It was built on the back of big morality. The corporations of the 20th century just took the correctional foods of the past and added enough sugar to make us forget why we were eating them in the first place. The next time you walk down the cereal aisle, try to see it as a row of monuments to forgotten fears. That box of bran flakes is a monument to the fear of internal decay. That soda is a monument to the war against the saloon. Our relationship with food has never been just about survival. It's always been a mirror of our anxieties. We're still living in the world the reformers built. We're still eating their corrections. Maybe the real aha moment is realizing that normal is just a word for the ideas that stayed around the longest. We aren't just eating food, we're eating the history of how we tried to master ourselves. Now that you know the secret, how does it taste?